The sound of gunshots, cannons, roars, and shouts seemed to be close by, yet seemed to be thousands of miles away. The artillery fire was so chaotic and the dust was flying that the faces of the people around him could not be seen clearly. Their figures were extremely blurry, but they were all wearing armed armor. Someone shouted at him, but a moment later, he was hit by an inexplicable beam of light and turned into powder. Explosions set off everywhere on the city wall, and people fell into the dark red mist that filled the air. Broken bodies were everywhere. The smell of blood mixed with smoke and dust in their nostrils, and the blood flowing from the people around them gathered at their feet. What made Ling tremble and feel frightened the most was the shadow, as tall as Mount Everest on the distant horizon. Countless roaring reptilian evil spirits. The figure suspended in the sky. A look of contempt for everything. Just when Lingen was about to lose his support, a white-haired old man next to him, whose appearance was also unclear, grabbed his shoulder. Lingen turned his head in horror, but couldn't see anything clearly. In the distance, the huge shadow seemed to raise a hand and slowly photographed here. Depressed, heavy, can't breathe. Just when Lingen could no longer think, the white-haired old man pushed him behind him. Lingen hurriedly tried to catch something, but everything around him seemed to be just illusion, and there was nothing for him to catch. The feeling of weightlessness emerged from the bottom of his heart. In a daze, Lingen seemed to hear what the white-haired old man said to him. He couldn't hear the sound clearly, but Lingen was surprisingly able to see clearly the shape of the old man's mouth. Be careful on the road. Brush. Lingen suddenly sat up from the bed, gasping for air. Shaking his head, Lingen looked out the window at the still dark sky. He took out his Tianshuan bracelet from beside the pillow. The dazzling light made Ling have to squint his eyes. It's only 2 o'clock in the morning. Ling lay down again. Did you just have a nightmare? That dream made Lingen feel bad, but he couldn't tell the specific content. It must be that when I previewed the modern history related to the Fortress era last night, the images I saw gave me a bad association. It seems that I shouldn't watch these heart-stopping things before going to bed at night. No. What am I afraid of? After touching his head and covering himself with a quilt, Lingen tried to fall asleep. But a few minutes passed. Not only was Ling unable to sleep, but he also heard an indescribable knocking sound. He put a pillow over his head, but it was no use. Although the knocking sound was inaudible, his own heartbeat was clearer. Plop, plop. Call. Lingen sat up again, turned over, and got off the boat. Gently pushing the door open, his eyes first turned to his mother and sister's room. It seems that both my mother and sister are fast asleep. Lingen was careful not to make a sound as he went to get the lamp in the study. Since you can't sleep, get up and study. As for why I didn't turn on the lights in my room, I went to get a desk lamp. Saving a little is also saving. However, as we approached the study, the knocking sound we just heard became clearer. Lingen was stunned for a moment, then understood something, gently pressed the door handle of the study room, and pushed the door open. In front of the computer desk in the study room, Ling Xiongming rubbed his tired eyes. After thinking about it in his mind, he hit the keyboard again and wrote down what he had just thought. Dad. Lingen slowly came behind Ling Xiongming. Shaowen, why aren't you asleep yet? Ling Xiongming was not frightened. Instead, he was stunned. He noticed that his voice was a little loud just now. He lowered his voice and frowned. Did the sound of my typing on the keyboard wake you up? Sorry, I was paying attention. You go back to sleep quickly. You have to go to school tomorrow. Without looking at Ling An's expression, Ling Xiangming turned around and continued to think about the following content. Don't worry about me. I'll go to bed after writing this article. Ling An felt sour in his heart. The conditions of my own home were not bad to begin with. His father, Ling Xiangming, is a senior department manager at Yuanyang Electric Power Company, and his mother is a senior history teacher at Yuanyang No. 1 High School. Their family also receives a large subsidy every month because of their eldest brother Ling Ziyuan. In terms of income alone, my family is definitely considered the richest among the middle class. This can be seen from the fact that my family can buy a house in the core area of Yuanyang City, a first-tier city, with a one-time payment. But because his twin sister Ling Xian suffers from a strange disease, the cost of treatment every month to keep the condition from deteriorating reaches 50,000 federal dollars. This is despite the fact that they are family members of glorious army soldiers and enjoy medical subsidies. This is not 50,000 federal dollars 100 years ago. That was the annual income of many families. Even if your family is relatively wealthy, this is still a heavy expense. Therefore, while maintaining his original job, his father Ling Xiangming took the initiative to start a self-media industry. He earned additional income by writing manuscripts and publishing them on Tianshuan Network. Go to sleep. Ling Xiangming finished writing a paragraph and looked back to see that his son had not left yet, so he advised, "Well, Dad, please take care of yourself and go to bed early. You have to go to work tomorrow." Ling An knew that he couldn't persuade him, so he could only say this. Then he bit his lip, turned, and walked out of the study, etc. Ling Xiangming suddenly called him in a low voice. "Xiao, and you're up anyway. Help me go to the kitchen to make a cup of instant coffee. Do you know where it is?" Ling Xiangming handed the empty cup in his hand to the silent Ling An. Ling An went to the kitchen, quietly made coffee, and brought it to the study. "Thanks, go to sleep." Ling Xiangming just tapped on the keyboard a few more times without looking back. "Dad, you should go to bed early too." After returning to his room in silence, Ling An noticed that the tapping sound on the keyboard was much quieter. With a silent sigh in his heart, Ling An turned on the bed and closed his eyes. "Early morning. Brother, get up." Hearing the crisp sound, Ling An opened his eyes and immediately stretched out a hand out of habit to grab the doll that was about to hit his head. "Xiao Xian, you are already a sophomore in high school, and you are still so naughty, like a child." Ling An sat up, but there was no trace of anger on his face. The girl in front of her looks very similar to her, but the details on her face are much softer than Ling An's. At the age of 17, even though she is a little greener than girls of the same age in some places, she can already tell that she'll be a great beauty in the future. "What? You're only a few minutes ahead of me. It sounds like you're mature." Ling Xian pouted and snatched the doll she had thrown away from her brother Ling An. Ling An wanted to get dressed and asked Ling Xian to call his father. He knew that Ling Xiangming, who had been busy all night, must not have gotten up at this time and should have fallen asleep in the study. After quickly getting dressed, Ling An stretched his muscles a little. Ling Xian was right about one thing. Although Ling An was only born a few minutes earlier than his sister, he had been doing some work after school since last year to support the family. Compared to his peers, he is really much more mature. At least that's how it looks on the outside. As for Ling Xian, it's not that she doesn't want to, but her family, including Ling An, doesn't allow her to go out to do odd jobs. Due to her illness, she entered school a year late. So this year Ling An is already a senior in high school, but she has just entered her second year in high school. After walking out of the room, when Ling An entered the bathroom to wash up, he happened to see his mother, Yu Shuwan, who had prepared breakfast and was taking the clothes for his father, who came out of the study with a smile. Ling Xian was already sitting at the dining table, pouring milk into everyone's glasses. To be honest, if Ling Xiongming hadn't allowed him to reduce his family's nutritional supply, their family's financial pressure would have been relieved a lot. However, seeing Ling and Ling Xian grow up safely, Ling Xiongming never complained about the pressure in front of his family. With a slight smile, Lingen spit out the mouthwash. Until just now, he was still worried about last night's nightmare, but now he couldn't help but feel relieved. What a fucking nightmare. Go to hell. Xiao, you must pay attention during class today. I heard from the principal that a big shot in the school will come to inspect today. Yu Shuwan couldn't help but smile as she looked at Ling En and Ling Xian, who were devouring their food. I got it, Mom. Ling En knew that the reason why her mother did not warn Ling Xian was because she was the head teacher of Ling Xian's class. By the way, Mr. G from the Defense Department told me yesterday that Ziyuan has been promoted to sea level and will have 10 days of vacation, which should be coming soon. Ling Xiongming drank a gulp of milk and said to his family, Really? Yu Shuan said happily. Ling Xian also showed a happy expression. Lingen was stunned for a moment, then fell silent and finished the food on the plate. His feelings towards his eldest brother Ling Ziyuan are extremely complicated. Soon, Sister Ling Xian and Mother Yu Shuan also finished breakfast. Ling Xiongming's company is in the opposite direction from Ling and school, and Lingen knows that his mother likes to walk with them to school in the morning, so he doesn't like his father driving him. Really? Old Ling, the children and I are leaving first. After you finish eating, remember to put the bowl in the sink. Well, I'm not driving today either. I stayed up a little late last night. It's not good to drive when you're tired. Ling Xiongming chuckled. He was not stupid. He understood the importance of health and safety. It was rare for him to stay up as late as yesterday. After walking out of the door with his sister and mother and breathing in the fresh air, Lingen felt much better. Ling Xian was jumping up and down. Although she was 17 years old, her mind was actually several years younger than her, who spent most of her time in the ward in the early years. To Ling, and she was really just a little girl. I looked at the Tianquan bracelet and saw that it was only 7:30, so there was still time. Since the Fortress era, the school has implemented all-round quality education. The kind of school that used to do everything for grades and let students get up at 6 in the morning to study early will be despised today. The three of them walked together and passed a square. There is a huge monument in the square. The monument is very simple, with no patterns, and is entirely made of a single stone. There are only 2 sentences engraved on it. Commemorate the fallen warriors. Thank you to the warriors who are fighting. There are already many people in the square, mostly young people who get up to work and go to school. Most people who pass by here will spontaneously stand under the monument and pray silently for a while. Then he picked up his bag and left. Let's go too, Yu Shuan said with a smile. Normally, Lingen knew that even if her mother was smiling, she also had hidden worries and sorrows. But today, after hearing the news that her eldest brother was coming back from vacation, Lingen could read true joy from her mother's face. With his hands clasped in front of him, Lingen, like everyone else, prayed silently. Thank you, warrior. When he arrived at school, he waved goodbye to his mother and sister, and Lingen came to his classroom. At this moment, many people have begun to review their homework attentively. After all, they are already senior students in high school and will take the college entrance examination in less than a year. But for some reason, Lingen suddenly remembered the nightmare last night. Is it because you are reading about modern history? He shook his head. History is a very important course today. You can't get distracted while studying. However, until 2 classes passed in the morning. Ling and was still unable to concentrate as before. Hey, second brother. Hua Ji, the fat boy at the same table, poked himself gently. While the teacher turned around to explain the knowledge points on the blackboard, Hua Ji whispered to Lingen, "Have you heard? A big shot is coming to inspect our school today. Volume 1 Departure Chapter 2 G-Substance and the Fortress Era. Big shot again." Ling was rarely attracted to his attention. This kid Hua Ji has a lot of connections with his family. His father were good friends who grew up playing together. The two families are also familiar with each other, and the relationship between Hua Ji and the 3 Ling siblings is almost like that of biological brothers. But later Hua Ji's father joined the army. He is a few months younger than Ling En. Because Ling En is the second eldest child in the family, Hua Ji is used to calling him second brother. Hui. Hua Ji felt that the voices in the classroom suddenly became quiet, and his heart trembled. He looked up and saw Teacher Chen, who was giving a lecture, frowning and staring at him. "This boy, please wish yourself well." Ling shook his head secretly. "Hua Ji, what did you say just now?" Teacher Chen is a little unhappy. What she is talking about now is the key point. The little fat man himself knew very well that he was smart but liked to wander off. This was not the first time. Teacher Chen decided to teach him a lesson. Forehead. Hua Ji touched his head and was about to make up an excuse when he saw Teacher Chen's face change on the stage. "What's wrong?" Hua Ji was a little confused and subconsciously looked at Ling beside him, only to find that his second brother was looking back with a somewhat surprised expression. Is it possible? Ling had an ominous premonition in her heart. Anyway, everyone looked back, so if you look back yourself, it won't be a problem. When he turned around, Hua Ji almost fainted from fright. Ling was also very surprised. Because there was some movement at the back door just now, Ling, who didn't care at first, became curious and turned around because of the change in Teacher Chen's expression. The back door was open, and the principal, who always liked to stand in the C position, was now with a smiling, gentle-looking middle-aged man in his 50s. The middle-aged man was dressed simply, but someone in the classroom had already exclaimed, "Earth Federation, Asia Defense Chief, Zhou Yang. The legendary S-Class warrior has fought bloody battles on the battlefield of Mars for more than 30 years and has repeatedly performed extraordinary feats. It was only in the past 2 years that due to his age and the replacement of new S-Class warriors, he returned to Earth from the front line and became the Chief of Defense in Asia. Such a legendary figure actually appears here. By the way, President Zhou Yang's high school alma mater is Yuanyang No. 1 Middle School. No wonder he's here. This is indeed a big shot, but this kid Hua Ji. Look at Hua Ji, he is pale now. No, why am I so meek? I happened to be caught deserting when Commander-in-Chief Zhou Yang came to inspect. At this moment, Hua Ji's expression looked as if he had eaten Coptis chinensis. He seemed to have seen that the principal would call him to the office alone after class, and then hiss, not like this. Hua Ji is really smart. He thought of an idea as soon as he rolled his eyes. At this moment, everyone was still in the excitement and surprise brought by Commander Zhou Yang. Hua Ji suddenly said calmly, "Teacher Chen, I was just thinking about the connection between the discovery of G-Substance and mankind's entry into the Fortress Era. There was something I didn't understand, so I couldn't help but ask classmate Lingen. I'm really sorry for delaying the class time. I will write a review." After saying that, Hua Ji bowed to the teacher, making Teacher Chen look stunned. And Lingen didn't expect that this kid Hua Ji would try to divert trouble to the east. Seeing Huaji wink at him as he lowered his body, the corners of Ling En's mouth twitched. Based on his understanding of Teacher Chen, that's it. It doesn't matter. Teacher forgives you. Teacher Chen also recovered from the arrival of Chief Zhou Yang. When he saw the principal secretly giving him a gesture to continue the class, and when he heard the little fat guy Huaji said this, he nodded slightly to express his forgiveness. Just right, Teacher Chen changed the subject. This test point is indeed important. Ling En, why don't you get up and answer it? Huaji, you can sit down. Sure enough, Ling En sighed inwardly. Feeling that the eyes of his classmates were on him, Ling En couldn't see behind him, but Director Zhou Yang and the principal were definitely looking at him too. However, Ling En was not too nervous. History was his specialty, and he had reviewed this section of knowledge last night. After organizing his words, Ling En said calmly, "The discovery and application of G-substance is of great significance to the beginning of the Fortress era. First of all, look at the time node." As Ling En narrated, he subconsciously reviewed this period of history in his mind. In 2050, Chinese scientist Feng Zixuan discovered G-substance. This is an extremely mysterious substance. It accounts for a huge proportion in the universe. It not only exists in space, but even exists in living organisms, and it contains huge energy. The scientific community speculated that this was a type of dark matter. After intense discussions, it was finally named G-matter. Using G-substances, humans have successively solved energy problems, material problems, and even made major breakthroughs in the biological field. At the same time, during the investigation of the cult organization, the Society of Fallen Gods, the relevant departments intercepted the information that within 50 years, the Abyss will come to Mars, and God's servants will cross the stars and come to the Earth to help the fallen gods reborn and turn the Earth into a new paradise. The officials secretly dispatched personnel and established a special organization. During the confrontation with the Fallen God Society, they came into contact with the 3 alien races as the vanguard for the first time. In the end, after paying a heavy price, the 3 alien races were wiped out, and the strength of the Fallen God Society was greatly weakened. However, unfortunately, the settlement was not completed, and the Fallen God Society went into hiding and still exists today in 2183. At this time, with the help of the technological revolution brought about by G-substance, humans had the ability to sail on a large scale within the solar system, so they organized people to go to Mars for exploration. As expected, they discovered a huge space fluctuation anomaly near the North Pole of Mars. The oracles of the fallen gods were not fabricated out of thin air. In addition, after studying the corpses of the 3 alien pioneers we encountered before, we found that they were not the same species as humans at all. Combined with the information obtained from the fallen gods, senior officials in various countries believed that aliens would soon appear on Mars and invade the Earth. There is a high probability that this was true. Next, with the efforts of the countries headed by China, the Fortress Plan was launched. All countries on the Earth united, and the United Nations was upgraded to the Earth Federation. Each member state worked together to resist alien aggression while maintaining independence. With the issuance of a unified federal currency, the technical barriers between countries were actively broken down, and mankind began to develop rapidly. And all of this is inseparable from the application of G-substances, which solves the differences between countries due to energy issues. The highlight of the Fortress Plan is to build a huge launch tower on Mars, which can generate an internal shield that is maintained by G-matter and the Martian magnetic field, and covers the entire Mars. This launch tower is named after the organization that initially made huge sacrifices to defeat the fallen god society, and is called the Joeon Tower. In order to protect this transmitting tower, humans also need to build a huge fortress, which requires a large amount of defense force to guard it. Therefore, in the next 30 years, human beings united as one and first established a 1-month flight route from the Earth to Mars, and then built the largest miracle city in history, the human fortress near the South Pole of Mars. With the help of G-Substance, humans have successively completed the construction of the Joeon Shield Launch Tower and made breakthroughs in biotechnology, allowing soldiers who have received special enhancements to adapt to the Martian environment.